Yuki Tsunoda put the world on notice with his Formula 1 debut on his way to a 9th place finish in Bahrain. There was already a lot of anticipation and excitement for the Japanese driver, and especially with AlphaTauri looking as strong as they did in pre-season testing, not only did the team carry that pace into the first race of 2021, but both Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda showed real signs that they could be the dark horses in the midfield. However, away from the team and what they could achieve this year, in this video I want to focus in on the rivalry that no doubt will be building between the two of them at AlphaTauri, and why it is so important for Gasly in particular to make sure that he isn't upstaged by Yuki at the very first time of asking in his rookie season. Now, before we get into why this season just got even more important for Gasly after the first race, let's talk about why Yuki made such an impact on his debut and why Pierre has to be on alert. Now, to clarify, none of this takes away from what Pierre showed throughout the entire weekend, because despite the mistake and contact with Ricciardo that basically ruined his race, he looked quick and on top of the car all weekend long, and qualifying in P5 was a mega result which showed that the car clearly will be a strong contender in that midfield. So despite the disappointing start for Pierre, I am expecting a really strong comeback from him when we get to Imola. However, there is no doubt that it was Yuki who made all of the headlines. Throughout the entire weekend, we got to see that Yuki clearly does not lack in confidence, but it was the way in which he transferred that off-track confidence onto the track in the form of a great first race, which is what impressed me most. In terms of his raw pace, that really is the best way to describe it. It's still very raw. We saw flashes of brilliance in quali, which included finishing P2 at the end of Q1, but when it came down to getting into the top 10 in Q2, he couldn't quite put the lap together. But it was in the race where he really came alive. There's no doubt that he still has a long way to go, but the confidence he had in wheel-to-wheel combat against the likes of Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon from the very first race, and the feel that he had in terms of braking as we saw against the likes of Alonso, to me, he honestly looked like the Daniel Ricciardo that we saw when he first came to Red Bull, totally fearless and not afraid to send one down the inside. The reason why this debut will certainly be a worry for Pierre is that, unlike Daniel Kvyat, who Pierre was fairly comfortable with, Yuki feels more like a firecracker that will stir things up within the team and possibly might create an interesting teammate rivalry. Not only does there seem to be a great vibe of positivity about Yuki, especially within the team with people like Franz Tost, the team principal of AlphaTauri, already saying that he thinks Yuki for sure will be a future world champion, but in general, the team look like they already have a huge amount of confidence in Yuki to not just be a young Red Bull junior who may or may not be ready for Formula 1, but a driver who could consistently deliver for them and take them forward over the next few years. And although this is a great thing for Yuki, it might not necessarily be a great thing for Pierre. Now, some people might wonder, why am I making such a big deal out of the confidence that the team have in a driver? At the end of the day, Gasly is still the #1 most dependable driver that scored them a win in 2020 and that has delivered for them over the past season and a half. And yes, whilst that is technically true, all of the fans and obviously the team as well know that Pierre is looking to leave at the end of 2021. But if the team know in the back of their minds that throughout this year Pierre is actively looking for a way out of the team and that his long-term future doesn't involve AlphaTauri, then I think the team, without even really trying, will naturally revolve more around Yuki if he keeps improving and delivering, which will give him more confidence and possibly have a more negative effect on Gasly. If the past few seasons at Ferrari have taught us anything, is that having the trust and confidence of the team is a huge part of a driver being able to perform to the best of their abilities. And although things played out at Ferrari a little bit differently than I'm sure that they will at AlphaTauri, we saw what a new, young, fresh talent did to an already established driver and how the team began to gravitate more towards the younger driver who was clearly the future of the team. The big major difference between Vettel and Gasly Gasly's situation is that Seb already had a seat lined up at Aston Martin during a relatively early part of the season if you kind of consider when we actually started racing in 2020, and so it really didn't matter where he finished for Ferrari because he always had a seat at Aston Martin for 2021. Gasly doesn't yet have that luxury, and I think we are still months away from Pierre knowing where his future in F1 will lie, so it's vitally important for him to make sure that he still says and does the right things within the team to make sure that they still have full confidence in him and that he still has full confidence in them. I recently did a video talking about 5 drivers who I think are under pressure to perform in 2021. If you haven't seen it, then definitely go and check it out after this one. But even though I didn't include Pierre in that video, make no mistake, Pierre is also under massive pressure to make himself look like a driver that the other teams should be considering for next season. Beating his teammate. The big target that Pierre will most likely be after is Esteban Ocon and his seat at Alpine, but if Pierre only has a decent 2021 and maybe even gets beat by Yuki Tsunoda, that puts him in a very weird position because at that point there will be huge questions being asked with regards to his future, and also does he really deserve to replace a driver like Ocon if Esteban is also able to improve in 2021. What makes things doubly more complicated is that AlphaTauri, they are a team that is designed to ferry young talent into Formula 1 and get them ready for a potential call-up to Red Bull. Now, it's been made crystal clear that Pierre Gasly is just not getting promoted back to Red Bull, and the awkward part about this is that despite how good Pierre is, why should Red Bull continue to keep him beyond 2021, especially if another Red Bull Junior looks to be ready to be promoted into Formula 1? All of this just adds more pressure onto the back of Pierre Gasly and kind of puts him on the clock in 2021 to perform. The arrival of Yuki and the fact that he's made such an impact in just the very first race, and the fact that he seems to have a huge amount of support on his back already from both the fans, but more importantly the team and the wider Red Bull family, puts Pierre in a really tricky and pressurized spot in which he needs to handle the Yuki hype train, especially within the team, and make sure that he's outperforming Yuki, who will be riding a wave of confidence after the first race. All of the ingredients are coming together very nicely for one of the most exciting and intriguing teammate rivalries of 2021, with both drivers looking to prove something. And for anyone that has seen the podcast that I did with the guys over at Sports Talk Podcasts, will know that my one big bold prediction for 2021, and I must clarify that this was before we even got to see anyone at preseason testing, was this. But yeah, no, Yuki, do you know what I'm going to say? I actually, I did a video with someone else where we had to do like bold predictions, and my bold prediction for 2021 was I think Yuki Tsunoda is going to beat Pierre Gasly in the championship. Watch out for Yuki Tsunoda. Do not, I'm calling it now. He could beat, in fact, yeah, he will beat Pierre Gasly this season.
He will. Oh, wow.
Now, whether or not it will actually happen, as I said, both drivers are fighting for their own careers in a way, and now that AlphaTauri have a competitive car, I think it just throws in another element of excitement into the 2021 season. These two guys are some of my favorite drivers on the grid because they are quality racers who are fun to watch, but they are also really fun personalities off the track who I just can't help but love. In the end, I'm sure it will be a close battle between the two of them with some great fights and maybe even a few spicy incidents mixed in as well. So guys, there you go. That is my thoughts on the whole Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, and AlphaTauri situation in 2021. Now let me know all of your thoughts about Pierre, Yuki, AlphaTauri in the comments box below, and let me know your predictions as well. But before I do go, I just want to say a massive thank you to every single last one of you, because very recently the channel just got over 80,000 subscribers. So yeah guys, I can't say thank you enough. Of course, we are aiming for that big 100k, hopefully in the very near future. So yeah, that is going to be an absolute madness. And once again guys, thank you so much for 80,000 subscribers. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, then don't forget to drop a like and of course smash that subscribe button to support the channel. And guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.